Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own personal struggles having borderline personality disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and depression. I talk about narcissism and schizophrenia, and I wrote a whole book, Life with My Schizophrenic Father, right here. I talk about my unethical psychologist who had sexual relationships, and I wrote many books about them. They're all here. The links to these books are down below in the description, and they're all available to be purchased on Amazon. Now, I only come on here as a former patient of almost 20 years. I'm not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot diagnose you or even give you a professional opinion. And all I ask in turn of you is your kindness and respect in the comments. We don't need to agree on everything, but we do need to show each other respect and kindness. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome, everyone. Please hit that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. That way you will be notified each and every time a new video of mine comes out. It's 100% free, so stick around. Take a chance. Please share my videos with your friends, your family, on your social media platforms, and I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, because they matter to me, your struggles, what you're going through, and I will respond back to everyone that contacts me. Today we're going to talk about how to let go. Personally, how I let go of things, people, and situations and things in my life that no longer served a purpose. Now, we've always had to let go our whole life, all right? We cannot, everything changes in life. Everyone evolves. Nothing stays the same. And so we've had to let go. We've had to let go of our children staying little and young and cute if you're parents and become adults and go off in the world. Excuse me. We've had to let go of relationships that we just were going our separate ways. We were not growing together. And I'm going to talk about 4 distinct things I had to let go of. And first was my son Alex. Second was my best friend Holly. The third one was my psychologist of 16 years, Dr. 𝗤𝗂𝗧. And the fourth one was my job as security officer at an upscale mall. Those are just 4 things I picked for this video, but of course there have been a lot more things that I've had to let go of. Now, the first and utmost important thing I had to let go of was my son Alex when he had to be institutionalized. Well, first he was in the hospital for 2 years because he got pneumococcal meningitis. It's a disease that eats away at your brain. So as a result, he had traumatic brain injury. The brain is the whole wiring, like a computer. Think of a computer, all right? The brain is the whole wiring of it. It's what controls our movements. It controls everything, it's so I'm not a scientific person or a doctor, but I'd rather lose my arms and my legs and everything else in my brain. My son became an invalid. He couldn't do anything for himself. I've mentioned this before. Because of the illness, he couldn't go to the bathroom by himself. He couldn't wash himself, shower. He has very limited language. He has no safety awareness about, he couldn't cross the street. He couldn't hold a job, drive a car, etc., etc. So what I had to let go of was my hopes and dreams of the future for my son, as well as having to physically let go of my son, because after he lived at home for 4.5 years, okay? Once he became, once he got meningitis, he became sick. He was in a coma. His eyes would roll back in his head. He was stiff as a board. he was unconscious in a coma. Everyone knows what a coma is. And then he was in the hospital for 2 years. So the first thing I had to let go of was not physically having my son living with me at home. My son left home at 4 years old and never came back. Now, if you're a parent, you know how difficult it is when your child goes away to college. Imagine your child going away and never coming home. If you have lost a child, okay. Yes, Alex died, and I don't know if many of you can really comprehend what I had to let go of. First of all, if you're not parents, maybe maybe your parent had Alzheimer's, all right, or dementia, and you had to let go of the old parent that you knew, and now you're faced with this person who doesn't even recognize you, who's become a different person. So letting go of Alex, I had to let go of all my hopes, my dreams, and even let go of him physically, because he was never going to live home again, because he had to be put in an institution, because he could not function. He needed round-the-clock care from doctors and nurses. He's on like a cocktail of heavy medication, like Risperdal, like psychiatric drugs that are very powerful. Keppra, drugs for seizures. He has seizures all the time. So he's a very sick child. He can never live home again, and he's not the 4-year-old boy before his illness, all right? So I had to let go of all my hopes and dreams for Alex. I had to let go, you know, what any parent would dream of their son, finding a job, graduating college, maybe getting married and having children one day, having their own life, buying their own house, traveling. He was never going to do anything like that. He was never going to graduate school, even high school. He was never going to go to school, graduate school, get a job, drive a car, meet a girl, have friends, travel. In other words, he was always going to be institutionalized. So all my hopes and dreams about Alex were down the drain. I had to let go of that. I had to let go of him physically too. He was never going to come home to live, because he needed round-the-clock care. And so I had to let go of him physically. I had to let go of my hopes and dreams of him. And it was very difficult. It was a very difficult time, because now I had to adjust to the new normal. Have you ever heard of that before? Anyone who's ever had a terminal illness, like cancer, has to adjust to like a new normal. And Alex had like, you know, a debilitating illness. So we had to adjust to life now, visiting Alex in a hospital for 2 years. And after he got out of the hospital, visiting Alex in an institution. So I had to let go of my little boy, all my hopes and dreams for him when he becomes a man, because he's never become a man. He never will become a man. Even if he's going to be 30 this August, but he's 2 years old, and he's never going to live. He's never going to grow past 2 mentally because of his severe brain damage. So over the years, it's been, you know, he got that at 4. It's been over 25 years that I've had to learn to let go. And, you know, it's still not easy, and it's been 25 years. So every day is a challenge. Every day is, you just have to live through it. I mean, you have to live as, you know, not what could be, but what is, you know. You can't live in a you know, in a dream world of what could have been. But this is the reality, and then you're going to have to adapt. Or adapt or perish. So I had to adapt to it, you know. I had to, and I grew close. I'm very close to my son Alex, the way he is. I had to get to know him all over again. And if you have a parent or know someone with dementia and Alzheimer's, you'll have to get to know them all over again, because the old person that they used to be before the illness is gone. is died. So you have to get used to the new person. And I have a very close relationship to him. To me, he's like my grandson, all right? Most people my age in their 60s, well, I'm going to be 60. A lot of them are grandparents. I will never be a grandparent, even though I do have a son who's 27, who is he's getting his master's degree this fall, and he has a full-time job and a crisis hotline. He says he doesn't want to have children. So he told me emphatically he does not ever want to have children because he saw what happened to his brother Alex. And he never wants to go through with that. So Alex is like a grandchild to me. I buy him like baby books, toys, stuffed animals, little children's puzzles like a 3-year-old would do. I play with them on the floor, beads, you know. So in essence, my almost 30-year-old son is like my grandson. So I got to how I let go of all my thoughts, all my dreams and aspirations of Alex is I got to appreciate what Alex can bring to me. He's still very lovable. He still calls me mommy, and he still has very limited language, like eat dinner or play puzzle, like a 2-year-old would, you know, not like a 30-year-old man. You can't have a conversation with him. But I got to appreciate and got close to him in a new way, see, in a new way. But I had to let go of the old dreams and aspirations in order to appreciate what he is now and what the relationship has grown into because of his illness. Can you understand that? The second thing is my best friend Holly. I had to let go of her. She changed, and situations change, people change. When we met, we were both on. We both had two boys. We both had special needs children. We were both Italian. We were born one day apart. I was born July 11th, 1965. She was born July 10th, 1965. So we had a lot in common. And, you know, we're both unhappily married. We talked about our marriages, our special needs children. Both Italian, love Italian food. We had a lot. And then what happened was she got divorced. Her husband was gay, and he moved in with a man. He fell in love with a man and moved in with a man. Holly started dating a lot of different guys, and then she fell in love with a married man who wouldn't leave his wife. And we just started, you know, she had less and less time for me, and we started drifting apart, going on, like, we were walking the same path, and then we split. She went this way, and I went that way. And I had to let go of my best friend for 12 years. We were best friends for 12 years. Maybe a lot of you had to let go of relationships because situations occurred. Maybe one got divorced. Maybe one got changed their path in life, took a different turn, and this happens. But I have no friends now. It was very painful to go through, to realize that we were just not, you know, we were just going our separate ways. And I had to let go of that. And over time I realized that to try to hold on to that when it was clearly the relationship is over, it wasn't a good idea. I tried very hard. I tried very hard to hold on to it. I tried to make plans with her, but she'd keep canceling them over and over again. And there was nothing very much in common anymore because, you know, she's a single career woman dating, and I was a married woman with children. And Alex is like a big baby, like a grandchild. So it it was time to let go of it. And it was hard for me because, like I said, I didn't have many friends, and now I have no friends. So that was very, very difficult. But I could see clearly it wasn't the same relationship. And the third one is Dr. ภิrchik 𝗖𝘁, who love bombed me. I wrote a whole book, Love Bombed by a Harvard Psychologist, who in the beginning was extremely devoted, saw me 5 hours a week for free, invited me to his vacation home in Maine. I could call him up 24/7 in the middle of the night. I sat in his lap. I've been in his home. I've been through a lot with him. And then he started pulling back and pulling away. And it wasn't the same relationship anymore. Really, I only had 2 years of a very intense, very close relationship with this man, but it dragged on for 16 years. I can't give you the whole story. You'll have to read the book. But I held on to it because I loved him very deeply. We had a past together. And I never felt that way before about anyone in my whole life. Even though I had an affair with Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲 in this book, Love Outside the Boundaries, and emails. This book is all the emails of an unethical psychologist. This book is all Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲's emails. You see the man in the broken mirror shattered because he was shattered. He was a shattered man, Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲. It's all his emails back and forth to me. I had to let go of him too. It was very difficult, very, very difficult for me to let go of Dick. Like I said, it took 16 years. I should have let go of him after like 3 or 4, actually, if I was smart. But that was one I just had so much trouble. I was so in love with him. I had so much trouble. I'm telling you, that was the hardest thing. Dr. ภิrchik 𝗖𝘁, Dick 𝗖𝘁, was the hardest thing in my whole friggin' life to let go of. I did let go of him. 3.5 years ago, I ended the therapy and I went to the licensing board because he mistreated me. He turned me into an alcoholic. Yes, I'm responsible, okay? But situations in that relationship, and the relationship, it wasn't just him, and the relationship with Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲, Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲𝗲 right here. This is a thick book. It's got like over 250 pages. Situations in those 2 therapies with those 2 psychologists who I was intimate with both of them. I didn't have sex with Dick. I had a 2-year sexual relationship with Jim. It was very hard. I was in love with both of these psychologists, madly, madly in love. I'd never been in love before, okay? I was in love with my husband. I was only 18 when I met him. Wonderful guy, great guy, best friend, best friend. In love, desire, passion, none. But with Dr. ภิrchik 𗗖𝘁 and Dr. 𝗤𝗵𝗵𝗲𝗲 here, Jim, I was in love with both of them. They both knew each other. You'll have to read the whole sort of thing. I can't get into it. There's a lot to get into. But with both of these psychologists, in the beginning, they were very helpful. They were very loving and very kind to me. But then something changed. The relationship changed, and it was no longer serving me. And you've got to ask yourself that, no matter how much you're in love with someone and how many years you spent with them, are they hurt? Is the relationship, are they hurting you now? You have to ask yourself that honest question. What is this relationship doing for me today? Am I getting hurt from it? And the answer was yes to both of these psychologists. I was starting to drink vodka. I never drank vodka in my life, okay? I drank maybe a glass of wine or some beer on the weekend. I never drank every day, and I never drank vodka. And because of the turmoil and stress in the sexual relationships with these psychologists,
I had extreme insomnia. I couldn't sleep at night because of the stress. I was sexually exploited, and the relationships with both of these psychologists were hurting me. They were no longer helping me. It's one thing if I'm no longer getting, anything positive out of the relationship. But then I was getting very hurt. I was being abused and hurt in a relationship. And that's when you really have to take stock and say, hey, this relationship is harming me now. Maybe in the beginning of with these two psychologists, it was great. It was thrilling. It was exciting. I was love bombed. I was showered with attention, and from both of these men, showered with attention and love and care. But then it turned, okay? And that's when I was praying and hoping it would turn back, but it never turned back. That's just it. If someone changes, you're not going to change them back to the way the relationship used to be. It's not going to happen. You can't turn it back. You just keep hanging in there thinking, well, it was so wonderful. It was so awesome. It was great. Just wait. I'll be patient. I'll just be patient. It'll get better. And it never does. You can't kid yourself. If you go year after year and nothing changes and nothing gets better and the relationship is hurting you, then it's time to take stock and say, it's time to let go. Because this relationship was killing me. Both of the relationships with these men, these psychologists who were supposed to help me, ended up hurting me so much that I had severe panic attacks, like I had insomnia. I was drinking a cup of vodka every single day. And this started in my late 40s. I never drank before. So it was time to take stock with both of them and time to let go. And I did, but it took me 3 years to let go of Dr. 𝗵𝗵𝗏𝗏, and 16 years to let go of Dr. 𝗤̌ci Khi'. 16. There was yeah. But it was hurting me. And my husband was telling me, these guys are hurting you. They're hurting you. And I had to finally listen to my husband, and I finally had to let go of it. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is my job as security officer. At the mall, when I first got that job, it was, everyone knew my name. It was like the Cheers bar. You want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. I made friends there. I still follow those people on Facebook that I've met at the Atrium Mall when I was security there. And I loved working at that mall because it was a very, very small mall. Everyone was close-knit. Everyone knew about everyone's life. It was... And then what happened was the stores started leaving. We were going through a recession, and no one was, everyone's online shopping. And there was another mall across the street from it. And so it wasn't getting any business. So stores started leaving. Eventually, they shut down the mall altogether. Tore down a lot of it and redid it into a health center now. It's a health fitness center, and they have doctors' offices there. But little by little, all the stores were leaving, and I was still working there. All the people were leaving, and it became an empty shell. Just like some relationships become an empty shell, right? They're no longer the same. And I hated working there because there was no people there. I just walked... I just patrolled an empty mall with construction workers who's, and I was all by myself, and the job wasn't, I was no longer working in a mall. I was working in a construction zone. This is the truth. Everyone have left. All the stores have left. They were converting the building into a fitness center now. But I was still working 8-hour shifts doing security. But it wasn't the place that I signed up for, And this happens with people, too, in marriages, not just jobs. You marry someone and they change, and you go, well, this is not the person I signed up for life with, you know. They might change physically, they might change mentally, they might change, you know, and you no longer love the person who they are now. You cannot accept the changes that they turned into. You no longer, you know, find them desirable. And this happens a lot in marriages. This happened in this job. It wasn't a mall anymore, okay? I was not working in a mall. I was working in a construction zone.